Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I said it many times that I like thugs who are telling us that they are thugs. I don't like thugs coming and telling us they're angels and demand that we really appear enthusiastic when they come around. So, unfortunately, our leaders, let's put them this way, the guys in charge of us, are pretending that they are exactly that, kind of like angels, like saints, whereas the other side is just 100% evil. Now, this is a toddler-like mentality, or you can go and read certain books and you're going to find the good versus evil. No gray zones. What do we have here? We have here an article mentioning El Pais. El Pais telling us that NATO troops are active in Ukraine. No news here, but I like that right now they come and really tell us, hey, we really are thugs, but not really that kind of thugs, We're like refined thugs. It's kind of, we're gonna do a little bit of this on you, but we're gonna do it a little bit clean, but it's still a, all right. So why do they come and tell us now? More and more, I'm talking about the Western media, telling us that yes, NATO troops are actually active in Ukraine. So, do you think it's a preparation for something? It's a damage control right now. It's an operation to cover for idiot Scholz, who was pinned in a corner by the Brits and the Americans with the Taurus missiles. And he said, well, we're not going to send the Taurus missiles because we don't want to do it like the Brits do it with their Storm Shadow missiles, which require active duty troops to operate over there using the Storm Shadows or the Scalp, which are the French version of that kind of missile. So when he said that, everybody was like, shit, this guy is with the back against the corner, against the wall. So we got to do something. And now there's damage control, which is, there's no secret. There are some troops over there, but the troops are clean. They're not killing the Russians. They're just doing everything else. All right, so let's see what El Pais tells us about NATO troops active in Ukraine. So now they're saying it. Yeah, there's over there. From here to the next step, which is the idiot Macron, who has bigger goals. Then he's gonna leave, right? He's got the second mandate. He's out, unless they change the constitution in France to make him stay 3 times, 4 times, 6 times after all. So he came and said, well, I don't discard the idea of sending NATO troops. Why? Because they're already there. So see, they've been there for some time. What this difference does it make? None. So let's look at this one. Russia Today, 19th of March 2024. NATO troops active in Ukraine, El Pais says. Western personnel, right there, are on the ground to oversee Kiev's use of foreign supplied weapons, the newspaper has claimed. So just walking like that guy right here around this Storm Shadow missile. They just point, help. They're not actively doing it. That means they're not poop, supposedly. And this also confirms something I've been saying before many times. When you hear volunteers coming into Ukraine, I said this could be active duty NATO military personnel coming to Poland, taking off their uniforms, putting the volunteering uniform, putting a badge right here and right here with the I'm a volunteer, taking a picture, putting the picture right here in case they're dead. Hey, I'm a volunteer. And that's how they operate. And they're going to get closer to saying exactly that in this article. Just listen. Active and former military personnel from NATO states have long been operating in Ukraine, overseeing Kiev's use of Western supplied weapons. El Pais reported on Monday, overseeing. I think they're operating with both hands like a octopus. That's what I think they do. Hey, as I said, patience is still a virtue for some of us. I think it's a general rule, but nevertheless, the US-led military bloc has been involved, and I'm quoting, in virtually every possible aspect of the hostilities aside from active combat operations, the Spanish newspaper claimed. Why? Because Scholz did not claim those guys are shooting the missiles. They're just over there to support, to, what's the name, what they say here? They say it's been operating and they're just overseeing, my friends. That includes supplying weapons, providing targeting information, that means telling the guys where to shoot, and training Ukrainian soldiers inside the country, just training them. El Pais reported citing interviews conducted throughout the conflict. Hey, baby doll, we are 2 years and more than 2 years into this garbage, and you give us this information now? What held you back? I tell you what held you back. What held them back? They are all together. This is not free media. They're telling us they're all together in the same garbage. Retired foreign military service members, plural, who have joined the Ukrainian armed forces as quote-unquote volunteers, are also serving as de facto agents for their home nations. El Pais said they provide, and I'm quoting, knowledge about the situation on the front to identify the effectiveness of the weapons supplied and possible problems in their use. They're just advisors, military advisors. Now, people like you and I, who been around the block a few times, we remember shit, okay? And some of these that we remember is the Vietnam War. Remember, before the Americans officially said we're going to do it because we were attacked on the Gulf of Tonkin, and the Gulf of Tonkin is not by California, okay? It's by Vietnam. We had, again, military advisors and trainers, and they were not, I repeat, they were not involved in active fighting. Now you know now that that was a lie, as the Gulf of Tonkin incident. So when these guys are telling us this, that yet they're not involved in active combat, I am very skeptical, which is definitely not believing them. I have the right as a free human being to say, you know what, I'm an idiot, okay? So please let me be and tell you that I'm an idiot. So I don't believe that. Let's move on. So just over here, to just identify the effectiveness. The presence of current and former NATO troops has been tacitly admitted by officials, the Spanish newspaper reported. It described recent suggestions by French President Emmanuel Macron that Western nations could send soldiers to Ukraine as taboo breaking, end quote, in the sense of proposing active combat roles for Western military personnel. While a handful of Western leaders have backed Macron's position that deployments to aid Kiev in a conflict with Russia cannot be ruled out, numerous officials, including NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg, an idiot, have dismissed the idea. Not an idiot. He's good at doing his, following the orders, that's all. He's a secretary. Moscow perceives the Ukraine conflict as a US-led proxy war against Russia. I think that's what it is, in which Ukrainians serve as cannon fodder of Western interest. I think that's accurate. My assessment. It considers foreign fighting for Kiev as mercenaries who are doing the bidding of Western government. And I'm quoting, we hear both French and English speech there in the Ukraine conflict. There is nothing good in this. First of all all of them, because they died there and in large numbers. President Vladimir Putin said last week, commenting on Macron's remarks on potential Western troops deployments. Senior Russian officials suggested that the more complex weapon system provided to Kiev are highly likely operated by NATO staff. I agree with that, as there was no sufficient time to train Ukrainians on how to handle them. This is one aspect. I think this is the baboon aspect. I will tell you the real aspect of this. I think last month, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz revealed the involvement of British and French forces in operating Ukrainian missile launches, not just witnessing and training, as he explained why Berlin would not supply similar weapons to Kiev. So let's go to this little thing here with why not. They are not operated, most likely, I would say 99.9% by the Ukrainians. Not because the Ukrainians are incapable of operating them. They are perfectly. I think their abilities are right there, okay? It's indeed the time can play a role, because you need time in order to be an expert operating a high-end weapon, which is a Patriot system or a HIMARS. So you need that. That's not what it is, I think. I think is the, how should I put it? The skepticism that the Ukrainians would not take one of these systems and send them to Russia. I think that's more important than you have a few guys over there operating them. I don't think that's what it is. I think they're afraid that those one Patriot system could be taken, given to the Russians intact. You know what it is? These guys have to, I don't know, import some Indians or some Chinese to design some new ones for them. That's what they need. Oh, they already have them at Harvard? Okay. Just kidding. In Harvard, you have lawyers over a certain kind of stripe. So, and it's all right. By the way, George W. Bush was also at Harvard and Yale. So cut the crap, including Obama and Michelle Obama as well, if I remember correctly. So nevertheless, I think is the risk of losing the technology just like this because of some Ukraine who wants to become a millionaire overnight by doing that. Well, they have different methods to become millionaires in Ukraine nowadays with all this money coming over there, but that's one of them. One who must have been, overpassed or whatever. Just the guy did it. I think that's the main reason. Do they operate? I think they do. I think they're operating under the volunteer, whatever badge they have, and they're actively involved. And when they die, and the Russians check them out, this is a volunteer. Yeah, they're volunteers. They were volunteers, but before they entered Ukraine, when they stripped their uniforms off, they were active duty military. Some of them are real volunteers. I'm not discarding that whatsoever. 100% they are. But this is just history repeats itself. It's just different times, different actors, sometimes different circumstances, but they will apply the same way. Because if someone attacks me, I have two options. One, to take it or give it back. There's no other. What's the next one? You give it back, you defend yourself, no, run from it or fight it. We're going to react that way. Now, if someone comes and wants to kill my family, what do you think I will do? Again, I will do anything in my power, anything. How do you call that? Geneva Convention? If you or someone else wants to do this to my family, this is Geneva Convention, I'm going to go to the toilet with it. And believe me, I'm thinking about this. No, I want to be this. I'm a moral person. I'm this. In certain circumstances, we humans act the same way. The veneer of civilization, ethical superiority or moral superiority just goes out the window. And it should. It should. And I'll tell you why. I have one life. Why should I give it to you? Why shouldn't you give it to me? And we have rules. When it's about living or dying, all the rules go out. I mean, you can have rules, but you're going to have rules imposed by others. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.